Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. It's an episode here on Custom Car Bros, and in this episode we're going to be jumping right into a totally different project never seen before. And well, in this episode we're going to be turning my 2002 Volkswagen Beetle into a 40s inspired cab over.
Alright guys, so as you can see, we got this thing in half. You got the front end right here with the engine, and then you got the body, which is what we're after. Now we're gonna go over here, jump onto this back right here, and see if we can drop this. Basically, there's a bar that goes all the way across to the other side. Drop that, drop the shocks. So basically, we're gonna have this free, so we just have the body. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get on cut.
Alright guys, so now we got it torn apart, as you can see it right here. Basically, I'm going to jack it up, put this underneath it as well as some other wheels, and we're going to roll it into the garage where we can lift it up off the ground and then put the donor underneath it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump right in. Alright, but before we get too carried away, let's go ahead and let's cut out this firewall. Alright guys, so we went ahead and we lifted up the body, rolled the chassis underneath, and we even started mocking up a fender. So basically we're going to go ahead and cut that out so we can bring that fender in a little closer. So we ran out of SD card storage, that's why you didn't get any footage of this getting mocked up and stuff like that. That was my bad. But let's go ahead, let's get to cutting, and then we'll add some bars right there. So let's jump right in. Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead and try to clean up some of this wiring right here. It's pretty much just a big old mess. And then we're going to need to go ahead and extend this gas pedal up to here so we can use it. So we'll basically just cut it, add some bars, and extend it. We've already extended the brake pedal, it's right here. So we need to do the same for the gas pedal. But first, I'd like to clean up some of this wiring. And then we might move on to actually making the firewall. We'll see. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get on going. Alright guys, so now we're going to temporarily postpone working on the firewall, and we're going to come over here. I had a little problem, and it was that the steering wheel was sitting like right about here, which is a little too far out. So we went over to Ace and we got this gas nipple which slides right over and extends it about 10 inches. Then we can weld on this adapter right here, and yeah, the steering wheel will be much better height and everything like that. So let's go ahead, let's pull this where we want it, and let's weld it. Alright guys, so before we cover up right here and add the final, or one of the final pieces to the firewall on this side, we're gonna go ahead and make sure we got everything behind it done so it makes it easier for in the future. I don't have to worry about trying to make all this stuff work behind a giant wall. So let's go ahead, and what I'm gonna jump into right now is I'm gonna be turning this into where instead of just sliding it to start, I want it to where when you rotate a key, it'll start. So my idea is use this thing right here I made. Goes in right there, the key goes right here into the top, and then when you turn it, it'll slide it side to side. And then I have this giant bearing right here, which actually is about the right size to sit there. And yeah, so it's kind of hard to explain, but let's go ahead and let's build it. Alright guys, so we had a sudden change of plans after we had got this working and set up. I ended up deciding that I could probably just as easily, and it would be better, just wire up this switch where when you turn it, it starts. So I went ahead and made this bracket off camera, and it's basically gonna mount there. Your key will go up right there and start it. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and let's mount it, then let's wire it up. Alright guys, so after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and some help from my dad, we finally got this mechanism working. You can hear the pumps turn on. I don't know if you can actually. And then she starts and turns off like a normal, well, vehicle. So pretty much that's finally working. I'm super pumped. So let's go ahead and let's move on up over here. Alright guys, so we're gonna go ahead and jump in up here on the front, and we're gonna start by going ahead and mounting some fenders. So we're gonna start with this side because it doesn't have as much freedom as that other side because it's got this brake box, so it has to be out a certain distance. So we'll figure that all out, mount this fender, and then we'll jump over here and work on mounting this one and squaring it up and making sure they're the same, and then we'll move on to mounting the hood. So let's go ahead, and without further ado, let's jump right in. Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead and with this bar we just added, we're going to take a drill bit and we're going to drill through, and we're going to add a couple bolts which will allow us to remove the fender if we ever need to in the future, but it'll also enable us to get some spacing so we can get this just fine-tuned to perfection to line up with this other side. So let's go ahead and let's get to drilling. Alright guys, so we went ahead and we welded up down there. I think we're gonna go ahead and kind of make this solid because it's got a lot of rust right there. So we'll probably build it across eventually to the other side and then make it one solid piece, but that's okay because this can still detach right here. So we could pull off just the top half, which is all we'd probably have to remove anyways. So I think this fender is pretty well mounted. We got that bar back there supporting the lower. That'll of course get beefed up later. But for now I want to jump over to this other side and see if I can mirror the work I already did just barely over there onto this side. But the only difference is I'm gonna have to take some steel and I'm gonna have to build up like a flat plate right here because the firewall doesn't quite extend all the way, and then I'll run just a 1-inch piece of square tubing, do the same little bar, and then of course add the piece that I added here like I did right there, and then weld up down there. So it should be pretty simple. So let's go ahead and let's mirror the other side. All right, guys, so we went ahead and we mounted this fender and we've got it lined up pretty closely to this side. This side does need to adjust a little bit. This side does, because this side, for some reason, won't do the adjusting. So we need to bring this corner up just a little bit, about a 1/2 inch. Shouldn't be too hard. So we'll do that in another video, but that's going to be a wrap for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to drop a like as well as a sub, and I'll see you guys in the next video.